And good afternoon. We are back with Kato Living. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Maddie Paul with my favorite Barbie doll, Haley McCormick, who's joining for the first time on Kato Living. How does it feel, Haley?
It feels good. Usually I'm over here for sports, but now I'm here for Kato Living, so a little bit of a change up.
I know, like this side of the stage, like completely different for you now, especially because like we were talking a little bit before too, and we have special lights on during this show and not for like our regular newscast. So Haley's walking into a whole new world right now.
I was like, are we going to turn the lights on? And she was like, no, the back lights aren't. So, hey, I'm learning something new every day. Right?
Exactly. Well, let's go on to question of the day now. We asked all of you at home, what is the Minnesota nice or the good things that you've seen happen during all of these floods?
We all need some lighthearted news out of these floods, so let's get ourselves into some waterworks. Our first response comes from Chris. Chris says she just moved to Eagle Lake recently, and during these floods, her new neighbors continue to reach out to make sure she's okay, and they're offering help if needed. Chris says she's loving Eagle Lake.
Oh, that's just great to hear. I also love Eagle Lake, so it's good to see that new people are coming in and also experiencing really good things. Our next Minnesota Nice response comes from Terry. Terry says that on Sunday, the Pizza Ranch in Jackson closed, but workers kept doors open for county workers and volunteers to have a cool place to rest and get a cold drink. They even prepared food packages for the volunteers and workers.
That's awesome. Just to give them that extra place of, place to go and relax, cool off, because it's hot outside.
Yeah, a lot of people need that right now.
And here's our next answer from Serum. Serum says she lives in Waterville as the town sits underwater. Serum says it's the help that has poured into deliver and stack sandbags around her town that makes her feel like she's taking millions of dollars. She says that it takes a village, and indeed it does. I apologize if I got the name wrong.
A very cool name too, so it's fine. But yeah, Waterville, speaking of it, here's an answer from Susie. Susie says that her son and his fiance went over to Waterville to volunteer to help with sandbagging on Sunday. Not because they knew anyone experiencing flooding in Waterville, but just because they wanted to help. Susie says people still do care. Again, really going into that Minnesota Nice effect in this area.
Coming together.
Yeah, you don't have to be in the community or in that particular area to want to go out and go help, and that's what we're seeing with all these answers.
Lots of great answers. Let's keep hearing about your Minnesota Nice experiences. Our next answer comes from Trisha. Trisha says she feels the Minnesota Nice because the Partners for Housing team came together to donate fans and help get water out of the basements of our shelters and rental properties.
Something that really needs to be happening, especially around this area. I know a lot of basements are being flooded. And now here's an answer from Angie, and she gave us some great video to go with it. Angie says her amazing neighbors, the Dinos and Ranvex, I hope I said that right, rescued her pontoon that floated away. Angie's got some humor out of the situation, saying that while the boat sat in a great fishing spot, the neighbors knew Angie and her family wouldn't be home until Sunday. So they brought it back themselves to the right spot. Angie says she wouldn't know what to do without her neighbors. I'm loving all these Minnesota Nice stories.
Especially making fun out of, a little bit lighthearted of the situation, just
what a great fishing spot.
Yes, And here's another great answer. This one comes from Heather. Heather says while her basement was flooding, a former neighbor reached out to her to make sure her family was okay and offered a dry place to store her belongings if needed. Heather also gave a shout out to help her dad for his help too.
Oh, it's great to hear. And we have time for one last answer. And our final Minnesota Nice answer comes from Karen. Karen says that she loves to see the good in people, especially when they're coming from everywhere to help with the sandbags and community support. Karen adds that Minnesota Nice is great, especially during these hard times, which we are feeling right now with all the flooding.
I'm glad everyone, is coming together, to show their support in these difficult times.
Exactly.
So thank you to everyone who shared their Minnesota Nice experiences.
And while we keep dealing with the flooding in our area and covering it on our newscasts, we want to keep hearing about your Minnesota Nice stories. So send us your experiences on Facebook or reach out to me through our website at KEYC.com. And still